Hi, my name is Torsten Langeland, and I work at the Mid-Norway Chamber of Commerce, and I'm head of the steering committee for the project that I'm about to present. The project is called Sustainable Public Procurement for the Normal Building Project, and is a collaboration, a public-private collaboration with these following partners: the Mid-Norway Chamber of Commerce, Trøndelag County and Trondheim Municipality, which are situated in the middle of Norway. Prosjekt Norge, Håndverkerforeningen i Trondheim, EBA Trøndelag, Rådgivende Ingeniørers Forening. The last three are industry organizations, and then we have the research partners, NTNU and SINTEF. Now, let's start with the challenge. And it's not a unique challenge for Norway, but still, the construction industry represents 16% of CO2 emissions in Norway. So those of you have heard the global numbers, where the construction industry is 40% industry, consisting of 40% of waste, CO2 emissions, and energy use. Slightly different in Norway because we have such a large amount of renewable energy powering our country. But still, 16% is quite a high amount of CO2 emissions. But when we come to the waste generation of the construction industry, it's considerably higher. Construction represents 29% of the waste generated in Norway, and that's the biggest contributor to waste in Norway. And it's not like it's getting better, it's getting worse. Since 2012 up until 2020, it increased by 35%. And so just like the rest of the world, Norway has huge challenges when it comes to going from increasing waste, increasing CO2 emissions, and going down and reaching the Paris Agreement and all the very ambitious climate goals that have been set, both on an international, national, regional, and a local level. So the ambitions are there, and now we just need to work to achieve them. And there's some great work that has been done. This is an example of the powerhouse at Bratturkaia in Trondheim, which was featured at the COP26 in Glasgow in 2021. As a powerhouse, it generates more electricity or more energy throughout its lifetime than what it costed in energy to build it and maintain it and to dismantle it in the end. And it's a great example, a great pilot, you could say, and there are more powerhouses being built, also houses now, or apartment complexes. And it's a great example of what one can achieve. And it's got a lot of visibility. Another project that has gotten a lot of visibility in our region is some of the construction projects that have started using electric machinery for the building and digging, etc. And then testing out these container-based battery banks, for example, to ensure that the electric vehicles continue working throughout the day. There's some great tests happening, and there's a lot of positive in the industry. And the results, you know, at first you get the ratings for being very proactive, and Trondheim Municipality just recently was rated as in the A list for the CDP ranking of sustainable cities. So that's really amazing. Now, whilst this is going on and we're making great progress, we still see that the construction industry experiences low demand for climate and environment-related services. Only 11% said in 2021 that they perceive that they are that they're getting this demand. Now, if we're making all this great progress and the projects are coming up, then why are we seeing this very different trend? So 89% are saying they don't see this demand. And when we start to dig into the numbers a little bit more, we see that there's a difference here between big and small companies. So the small and medium-sized enterprises consider sustainability to be less strategically important than the bigger companies. But why is that? And why is that important? It's important because the SMEs represent 99% of businesses and almost half of the employees in private sector. So if you're going to make a change, you need to get the small and medium-sized enterprises on board. And it's quite interesting because I showed you a couple of projects. These are great projects. They're big projects. What often happens in big projects is that you attract the big suppliers. The big suppliers are the ones who are able to supply the big projects. You might have smaller subcontractors, but the main contractor is normally quite big. And then if you look at the Trøndelag County as a case, you could say roughly they build about 15,000 new square meters each year. At the same time, they maintain a building mass of 500,000 square meters each year. And so when you look at it in this perspective, these big projects, yes, they're important, but we also need to look at the other end, the maintenance, the running of buildings, and the building of the smaller projects. And when it comes to the public sector, you know, public sector builds, or they buy for about, or more than 600 billion Norwegian kroner per year. And around 1/3 of this is in the construction industry. And so public sector here has a very important role. And it's actually in the procurement law, paragraph 5, it says that the public sector need to contribute to reducing harmful environmental effects and promote climate-friendly solutions. So it's in the law. But what we see is that when they're working with the big companies have their own sustainability departments. But what about a small carpenter, 10 employees? They don't have their own sustainability department or even a sustainability head. So it requires a different approach. And we see that in order to help these small and medium-sized enterprises, you need a different approach. You can't challenge them in the same way necessarily that you do with the bigger companies. You need a different approach. And that's what this project is about. So just to read the purpose of this project, it is to contribute to a safe transition towards more sustainable procurement for small and medium-sized enterprises. So it's a safe transition. And we're going to use the small and medium-sized construction, management, and maintenance projects. I see there's a misspelling there. And like I said, it requires a different approach in order to transition the small and medium-sized enterprises. And that's what we're going to work on. Now, the project, just summarize it real quick first. Some of the key aspects here are, instead of working project by project, we're going to start getting the public sector and the suppliers to work together over time, over multiple projects. That's first thing. Second, we're going to get practical. We're not going to do a huge research project and then test something. We're going to start testing immediately. Third, instead of just the main contractor being in touch with the buyer, we're going to involve the whole value chain. So the painter, carpenter, the producer of the materials, the logistics supplier need to talk in like a equal arena, talk together with the people buying to see how can we get the best solutions. Because it might be that the painter sees a problem, but the problem needs to be solved in logistics, not by the painter. And so they need to talk together. Fourth, circular economy is going to be the main driver for this change. It's not exclusively going to be about circular economy, because everything needs to be seen together. But circular economy is without doubt one of the most important parts of this project. We're going to have a lot of focus on research and to share the knowledge. That's why I'm doing this recording in English. And we're also working to involve education in this project, because they can both have new perspectives that are important in the project, but they also need, the education needs to be updated in order to be better rigged for the future. And what we're doing now, we're in phase 1. The project is up and running. And what we're doing now, first, we're going to establish the market dialogue. And we're going to start testing 3 to 5 projects from the municipality and the county. And then we're going to work to fund the next phases. Now, what we're doing now in the phase 1, the methodology is like this. First, we choose 3 to 5 projects. Then 3 to 5 projects that are maybe between 1 to 50 million. That's where we put the range, 1 to 50 million Norwegian kroner. Just divide by 10 and you have US dollars or British pounds or euros. Then we're going to, through workshops, we're going to gather the whole value chain for these relevant procurements or these projects. And we're going to find out what research has been done, and we're going to gather the value chain in a room together with the people who are buying, and we're going to see what is needed in order to make a change. And then we're going to find the solutions together. We're also then connecting the research partners who will help to find out how we're going to measure this and in order to get the best possible effect. Then we carry out the procurement and then measure and report afterwards and then share the results. And we're going to have a lot of focus here on sharing the results in an understandable way. And this can be seen as a cycle. So in this first phase, we're going to do this once. But when we move on to the next phases, we're probably going to develop the method more. But the idea is that we continue with these cycles in years to come. And in the next phase, we look at doing even more. In the first phase, we do what we need to do to achieve what we want to do. In the next phase, we do even more academic and more in-depth research and start looking at what can we do now and what do we need to research and work with over longer term, and then it can affect it can affect the procurement in 5 years, for example. It's not ready now, it needs to be developed further first. And this is a huge opportunity for collaboration, both locally, nationally, and internationally. So we'd be interested to talk to partners who are doing research projects that could be connected to this project. And the idea here is that whilst we're doing this, we're starting with the Trøndelag County and Trondheim Municipality. And then we're going to do this project. So each arrow here is one project. And then the idea is that we create a platform where we can scale this and we connect buyer number 3 or 4. And we can connect as many buyers as we want. And the idea then is that these buyers and the suppliers will together create new solutions whilst learning from what's already been done, and will feed the new knowledge into a knowledge bank. We've not decided how a knowledge bank will look like. It might exist already. But the important thing here is to share the knowledge. Because if we make perfect construction, sustainable construction in Trondheim or Trøndelag, it represents almost nothing in effect when it comes to global climate change or climate emissions. And so our function needs to be to create methodology and learnings so that others can learn from it, in the same way that we want to learn from others. And so when we expand this project, we could hopefully connect buyers elsewhere in Norway and in other countries as well. And so we can also export the methodology. So this is the project summarized. It's a very exciting project. And if you're interested in finding out more or following the project, you can get in touch with me, Torstein. My email is on the screen. And then I hope you're excited by this, and then I hope I hear from you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.